Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chloe Maxmin.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? I can't hear my own voice. Okay. Thank you so much for having me here today. I was actually in this audience last year, so it's really an honor to be back. First of all, before I get into my talk, which is about lessons learned from climate activism, I was wondering how many people in here have heard of the fossil fuel divestment movement? All right. Sweet. Okay, I'm glad. For anyone who doesn't know what it is, I just wanted to give a little bit of background. So first of all, divestment is the opposite of investment. And about 1 month before I started Divest Harvard, I didn't know what divestment meant, so I wanted to clarify that for you. The purpose of the fossil fuel divestment movement is to get everyone to sell their stocks in fossil fuel companies so that we can stigmatize the fossil fuel industry and weaken their political influence. In that space, yeah, that's what we need. In that space, we're building a people's movement. We're building this massive grassroots climate movement that is going to capture our politicians' attention and push for the climate legislation that we need. So Divest Harvard, which is the group that I started and work with now, we actually have our big action of the semester starting on Monday through Friday. We're asking folks to fast for 1, 2, or 3 days in support of divestment and all of the issues that we're trying to draw attention to. And we have over 120 people from around the world that are fasting with us, and I want to extend an invitation to all of you to fast with us as well. You can go to divestharvard.com/fast to join, but there are also lots of ways to support us. If you don't want to fast, you can just go to our website, divestharvard.com, and all the info is right there. Okay. So I got involved with climate activism when I was 12 years old. I joined a campaign to stop a development proposal in my home state of Maine. When I got to high school, I wanted to continue doing this work, and I wanted all of my friends to be involved, but there was no environmental club, so I started one, and we called it the Climate Action Club. Our initial projects were really small and really basic, like we did an energy audit of my math teacher's classroom during lunch. But through funding and just our commitment, we grew really big, and we were on the Sundance Channel, and we raised enough money to install solar panels on our school. We had the largest reusable bag campaign in Maine. Those are the reusable bags right there. And we also galvanized this really big movement in our community. Then I went to Harvard, and I co-founded Divest Harvard. I say this all the time, but it's really true. At our first meeting, we had 10 people in a room, and none of us knew what we were doing. Now, in our 3rd year, we have 70,000 people that have signed on to our campaign. So I've been very fortunate in my life to have these 2 experiences of what I call first here then everywhere, and I wanted to share a few lessons that I've learned with you. The first lesson is that, as opposed to Obama's all-of-the-above energy strategy, we need an all-of-the-above climate strategy, because as you all know, climate change is an issue that affects every single person on this planet. So we need strategies that can reach and involve everybody. To use Divest Harvard as an example, we've had small rallies and big rallies. We had a referendum. We had a forum with faculty. We sat in one of our president's speeches and really scared her. Then we did a civil disobedience where we blocked the door to her office building. I don't think she was quite happy, but we built a really powerful movement because we had a wide array of strategies and tactics. And I've often felt frustrated at different parts of the climate movement, but then I realized that everything has its place, and it's a wonderful experience to figure out where you fit in this really vibrant spectrum. The next is about evolution. The picture on the right is me when I was first starting out in my awkward phase. And I did not like chants, I did not like marches, I did not like protests. I didn't even want to join 350.org because I didn't want to go to a protest. The picture on the right is in April when I started to do civil disobedience. This was when we were blockading our office building and the cops were telling us that they were going to arrest us. I never thought that I would get to that place, never, ever, ever. But I think it's important to not be too ideologically committed to one way of living or one way of making change. Plus, I think it's hard to know what kind of activist you do want to be unless you figure out the kind that you don't want to be. This is another important lesson that I've learned. One of my professors said to me, "Chloe, don't use activism as a crutch." And this clarified so much for me because I've so often felt guilted into doing this work, like I should be the first person there and the last one to stay, and I should make other sacrifices in my life. But just because climate change is real and urgent, it doesn't mean that we don't have the right to develop other parts of our identity. Plus, I think it's really hard for one-dimensional activists to create a multi-dimensional movement. Lastly, and this is something that I'm very passionate about, I think it's important that we connect to our deepest motivation. A lot of the rhetoric that I see around the climate movement is talking about anger and frustration towards the government, towards Exxon, towards the fossil fuel industry. And these emotions are warranted. We should be angry and frustrated. But why are we angry and frustrated? It's because these entities are threatening everything that we love and everything that we care about. So I think we have to go down to that deeper level and make that love more explicit and bring it to the forefront of our work. Because anger will take a toll on your soul. Anger will wear you down, and it cannot sustain this movement. But love is infinite, and love is what will enable us to do this work for as long as we need to. For me, I love my home. These are a couple pictures of where I grew up, and that's why I do this work. So as we go forward, I hope we can all come from the best place inside of ourselves as we create the best world that we can. Thank you.